Oh, hello. Greetings, Reclaimers. I am 343 Guilty Spark, monitor of Podcast Evolved. Protocol dictates that you must listen. Come, we have a wealth of knowledge to share with you, and you don't want to make my blue eye red. Do you, Reclaimers?
Welcome, Spartans, to another Halo Book Club episode, a part of Podcast Evolved, your home for Halo. I am your host, Krista, and with me today is Aaron.
Hi, guys.
And David.
Hello, everybody.
And this month's book club is Headhunters from Halo Evolutions, Volume 1, if you got the volumes. It's a nice little piece. It's about 50 pages long and tells a cute little story that we'll get into in a bit.
Cute.
It's pretty cute. It's adorable. And not horrific at all. But before we get started, check out our website, halopodcastevolved.com, or just Halo Podcast, either way. It features all of our shows, which includes Podcast Evolved, our weekly show that alternates between lore discussions and the latest Halo and Xbox news. Mission Debrief, a deep dive into every Halo games campaign, mission by mission. Mission Debrief is currently going through the Halo Wars 2 DLC, and we're having a great time with it. Come and join us. And finally, we have Builds with Blocks, which is centered around the micro action figures and brick-based construction sets of the Halo universe. They've kind of expanded into just general action figures and merchandise as well, but lovely guys over there. And finally, we have our Patreon page, patreon.com/Halo Podcast Evolved. If you would like to contribute to us in any fashion, we really appreciate it. We offer a variety of exclusive rewards for our patrons, like early episodes and swag. We would like to take a moment to thank our patrons for their continued support. Thank you!
Woo! Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you, guys.
It baffles us every month that we continue to be supported by wonderful folks like you guys, so thank you. We appreciate it. Finally, we encourage our listeners who want to listen to more stuff to support Audible. Listen to the growing collection of Halo novels all in one place, along with thousands of other novels, podcasts, guided wellness programs, and Audible originals just for you. Use the URL audibletrial.com/podcastevolved to learn more and start your free trial today. Alright, Headhunters from Halo Evolutions. The author is Jonathan Jeff? We're going with Jeff. Jonathan Jeff. This is an oldie but a goldie, so it has the original Halo publisher, Tor Books. Simon & Schuster took it over in the 2019 edition. We have a lot of formats available, many formats. So of course Halo Evolutions has had a lot of different formats, one of them being the 2019 version, one of them being 2 separate volumes, or one of them being just a big book for Halo Evolutions. And you can also get these digital as well.
And it comes in motion comic form?
Yes, and there is a motion comic that is free on YouTube. It's about 20 minutes, and it's fantastic, and we'll talk about that a little later. We have a lot of release dates. So the original release date for Halo Evolutions was November 24th, 2009, and then they decided to split it into 2 volumes, and Volume 1, which contains Headhunters, came out November 2nd, 2010, and the second volume came out November 30th, 2010. A re-release 2019 edition came out on April 16th, 2019. So we're all caught up with the many, many ways they have decided to publish Halo Evolutions. The original big book was 528 pages, The Volume 1 is 353 pages. Volume 2 is 355 pages. The 2019 edition is 560 pages. Headhunters itself spans around 50 pages, just for this little story. So the timeline, we're not really sure. It doesn't really specify exactly, so we did our magical calculations in our Halo brains and came up with before November 2552.
We think at a guess, maybe 2557 or 47 plus.
And this is just based off of when the Spartan 3 program was started and around the timeline of this happening. Because by 2552, there weren't many Spartan 3s left over anyway.
Beta Company graduates sometime in 2545, so it had to be sometime after that and before 2552. So that's better than what we originally had, which was like a 20-year span.
Yeah. So the location of this book is on some moon with some kind of Covenant facility on it. That's about it. And then our characters are Roland B210 and Jonah B283. Roland is the kind of level-headed one, and Jonah is the psychopath. And there we go. That's pretty much the kind of overview of what we're going to be covering. I'm going to throw it over to David to kind of go through the major story beats.
Yeah, so like Krista said, it's a really short story, and I was actually surprised by how quick I got through it, because I thought I was leaving it too late. I kind of sat down to read on Friday, and I was like, oh wait, this is nothing. This is so fast. So the plot, like Krista says, takes place on this moon. We don't know where. We're introduced to these two Spartan 3s, Roland and Jonah. They are a 2-man team that are called Headhunters, and they were specially selected and had like a rigorous training to join this team. And the book kind of goes through a bit of a backstory of defining what a Headhunter is. They kind of tell you what a Spartan is. They go through goes great pains to tell you the differences between Spartan 2s and Spartan 3s, about like what makes this Headhunter team special, what makes them work. So it starts off with this 2-man team being deployed to this moon, and their mission is there is a dig site on this moon, and the Covenant have set up 10 camps around to protect it. You're going to go in and take out 6 of these camps, and a second 2-man team will take out the other 4. You're like the primary team. Apparently that's a big deal because 2 Headhunter teams are never sent on the same mission before that they've ever think of, so that this is the first one. So they think this is a significant place to be. So our team, Roland and Jonah, pretty much are going to go in, take out the first kind of base, and that's kind of where we meet them. It's very slow. It tells you about like moving through this jungle, getting up, finding a sniper, the jackal in the tree. They kind of just have some quips back and forth of how they're going to deal with it. They slowly get around the tree. They plant a bunch of explosive at the bottom of it and then sneak all the way back to the cliff to look down over to the base. Then they kind of sit and watch this base for 2 days while they kind of figure out what's going on, who's who, plan their targets. It kind of talks a little bit about like their gear and some of the stuff that they have. There's a bit of back and forth over between Roland and Jonah, because Ronald's a more calmer of the two, more senior, and Jonah's like they call him like a sadist. Pretty much, he loves shooting, loves fighting, loves the action, loves the killing. And Roland kind of says that you're just pretty much like a sanctioned psychopath. Do you know what I mean? These guys are obviously been working together for years, so it's all taken in good faith and on the chin and stuff like that. So Jonah doesn't take really too much offense. But these guys, when they operate, they do a pretty damn cool job. They pretty much blow up the tree with this jackal in it and just take on this base as the two of them. Roland has a stealth active camo, which sounds way better than any active camo we had in the games. So it lasts for about 3 to 4 minutes, but it has a big cooldown of about 10 to 15 minutes after that. So that part kind of sucks. But like, you never get 3 to 4 minutes of like stealth. That's cool. They're equipped with the visors, so VISRs. So these are the pretty much what you got in ODST, but it's still experimental here. And the whole point of it was to combat the active camo that the elites were using, which it does, which is kind of pretty cool. So you have you can imagine what the team is seeing. So they go in, they pretty much take out the space. Jonah also has a energy disruptor, which is kind of like the shield drain, but like it does a bit more. It doesn't just drain shields, it also shuts down all the Covenant technology, so all their weapons, as well as like their doors and their energy shields that block ways and stuff like that. Jonah just pretty much goes into the camp while Roland kind of sneaks around planting bombs everywhere. They very quickly just take this camp apart, which is pretty cool. There's some pretty cool moments of them like just using various weapons and Jonah just using a knife to decapitate it. Jonah's pretty brutal, and it's pretty cool and kind of gory, of talking of like how he just takes his knife and just beheads an elite and just shooting another elite in the neck with his knife and then shooting him in the brain and all this kind of stuff. It just describes all these elites with guts and fucking blood, and sounds cool. Anyway, it's pretty gory, and that's what Jonah loves, all this. So he's taking them apart, and it pretty much ends with the two guys going like talking about their next step or what they're kind of doing. I can't remember what exactly they're talking about, but Roland gets speared from behind with a red energy sword. As you can imagine, there's an elite squad here that are still camoed. There's a bit of back and forth where Jonah kind of is shooting at him, realizing his bullets aren't getting through the shield. It's like, holy crap, this guy's pretty armored up. Then when he kind of activates his visor to see the elite, he realizes he's not alone. There's actually another elite around, and other elites. He tried to use a plasma pistol to like knock this guy's shield out. He hit him, but I think it kind of recharged really fast. It didn't do him too much good. Then he has loads of dialogue with this kind of elite. We know now that like this is the Silent Shadow because of their red swords and their kind of uber armor that they're wearing. That Jonah pretty much remarks on that these guys have pretty badass armor. And he kind of just antagonizes them. He kind of has a plan in his head, and the elites just kind of spread out and kind of play around with him, kind of mess with him a little bit. But before like a big fight can happen, he kind of detonates the bombs that Roland had put around. So Roland had obviously died at this point, and it describes Roland's death pretty brutally, where he gets like speared from behind by a sword, but instead of pulling the sword out, the elite pulled the sword up and cut through Roland, pretty much just kind of cut him in half.
It's so brutal. It's like, oh no, please no. And you're like, ah shit, that guy's dead. That guy's so dead.
Deader than dead. And you feel, even though the story is so short, you do feel a little bit bad because Jonah and Roland had great chemistry. The whole story is just their chemistry, because obviously they're the only really source of dialogue other than this lead at the end.
Well, and they also talk about like how to determine headhunter pairs, you take like all these kind of different personality and combat tests, and they were at like a 97% match for each other as well.
Yeah, they're a match made in heaven, and there's only one other team that matched better apparently, so these guys are pretty cool. And that story pretty much just ends with everything going white, because it's described from Jonah's point of view. So as you imagine, he blew up. But he was pretty happy with himself, because he was saying that even if the camps is a trap just to get the headhunters because they're so good at their job, even if it is a trap and it's not up to real, that it's still a win, considering that this uber team of elites are here facing him and not somewhere else. So he kind of sees it in his head as still a win. So it is a cool little story, the headhunter teams. What do you guys think?
I love this story. This story's actually stuck with me for a while for whatever reason. I always remember this one pretty clearly. Especially like the jackal part. I don't know why, but I always remember this story. I think it's great. I think it's simple but impactful. At the time, it posed a lot more questions than it actually answered, which was kind of fun and very Halo.
Yeah, we didn't know a lot about Spartan trees back then.
No, we didn't know a lot of Spartan 3s, and then, like, we didn't know anything about the Silent Shadow. We had no idea who these guys were. This also was around the time that ODST came out, I think, so the visor thing was really cool. They had the heads-up display, same as ODST. And the motion comic is great. If you haven't watched the motion comic, it's pretty much beat by beat the exact same story. It's very well done.
The thing I like about it is it shows you the difference between the Spartan 2s and 3s. There's a different level of banter going on with these two guys than you're ever going to get out of like Chief and Fred or anyone really. Like even Chief and Cortana don't have the same level of banter that these two have. They talk about how they have conversations and they're having, it's the same point. It's Roland is not sold on the idea that there are benefits to fighting elites versus brutes.
Oh, that was a weird conversation, yeah.
It goes on for a while where it's basically, the theory is elites are predictable because they fight in a certain strategy, whereas brutes are not because they get pissed off and they berserk and then you don't know what's happening. They can go completely off script And this is the idea that Jonah's trying to sell to him the entire time. And he's like, look, we've had this conversation before. I don't buy it. They're both threats. They both get killed. But stuff like that I quite enjoy because they're a different breed of Spartan. So even though they've been kitted out with armor and they're clearly like just as effective or more effective than anyone else, I think from the sounds of it, they've done enough of a job to be rated a Silent Shadow team means you've done at least as good a job as John and Blue Team did.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's kind of Jonah even comments at the very end, like, well, since you're here fighting me, you're not here fighting someone else. So, I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
And he's also like, one of me for six of you. And it's like, yeah, you've just taken out like an elite team. Although, at least they didn't get written off quite as quickly as the other Headhunter team who...
You don't even see.
Yeah, when this team they call it the lumberjack, when they do their lumberjack move, a couple of minutes later, there's another explosion in the distance. It's like, oh, the other team were in position. That's good. And they're like working away and everything's just going so perfectly. But the Silent Shadow team, they wipe out the other team and then fuck these guys up.
Well, it's also interesting as well. They're trying to take prisoners, which is weird. They normally never do that.
The goal is to torture Jonah and get his secrets, but I like that they didn't have the concept back then for the armor self-destruct because it's been long enough reading this that I was like, does Roland explode? Is that why Jonah's going like 30 seconds? I was thinking like, is his armor's power pack about to detonate and this is what we're waiting on? But we obviously...
Do the Spartan trees explode?
These guys are in full Mjolnir, so they would explode like everyone else.
They would they? Okay.
I assume it's to stop the armor falling into enemy hands, not the Spartan.
It's a technology thing, yeah. I remember that was in Halsey's journal, I think.
I like that we didn't quite have this locked down yet, that technically Roland should have detonated, and that should have been... And like, to be honest, the other fire team, the other Headhunter team should have detonated, and that should have taken out the Silent Shadow to begin with.
Yeah.
But I like these. You can nitpick little things like that. But like, I like this team. I like the dynamic between them and how they're just different. They're much more like what you'd expect Spartan 4s to be like. If you sent Locke and Buck on a headhunt mission, you know this is the sort of conversation that's going to be going on the whole time. Going to be placing wagers and they're going to be trying to one-up each other a bit.
Yeah, because they're like betting through the entire thing. I'll bet you 20 credits.
Crits is out there laughing, going, I have 1,000,000 credits in Reach. I do not need your 20 credits.
You can't ever picture a time where John's going to say, I bet you 20 quid I can kill this guy.
I don't think John would talk about quid at all. I don't think he knows what that is.
Yeah, that's true. What's their concept of money?
Spartan 2s don't even need to use money, really. Everything's pretty much given to them.
Yeah, they don't have much of a social life, but like, they have to get paid because they're in the military, so he has a bank balance.
If they're getting paid, what are they spending on? They live in UNSC. They live in UNSC bases. They go from mission to mission. What's the point of having money when you have literally zero time to even spend it? Like, Spartan 3s I could see going to a bar, but Spartan 2s don't usually have a reason to because they're on a ship.
I don't completely buy that because you know Fred's buying like some crazy knife shit online.
You think they're using space Amazon?
Not all of them. Like, I don't know what John would buy with actual cash, but...
Cortana blow-up doll.
Oh, God. I can see Fred buying some shit with his money.
Probably now, since he's been associated with the ferrets, but before that, probably not. I don't think they really think about it. They're very, if I'm working, I'm working, and if I'm not working, I'm pretty much sleeping.
Yeah, and like, I don't think that they don't really think about too much of the... I know Silent Storm and that kind of fleshes them out a bit more, that they do have some more team banter and stuff, but not on this level, like never... The second they noticed the blip on the contact, they would have just moved in, planted the explosives and moved on. There would never have been a discussion about who do you think it is and can you climb up into the tree while you're invisible and clock him in the back of the head?
Yeah.
But I like them. As characters, they flesh them out pretty well in the space of what is, I listened to the audiobook version, 1 hour and 5 minutes. They give them good personality. You feel like you could know these two guys quite happily in a longer book and get some enjoyment out of them.
Yeah, they're two very interesting characters. You care about them really quickly, too.
Yeah, and it makes me want a story about either them or the one team that scored better in like the compatibility charts. I want to know who that team was.
I wonder if that's leaving something open there. But it'd be cool to think that there might be like at least one Headhunter team still in existence. 'Cause it's a cool concept, you know, sending them in for, you know, assassination missions and stuff like that.
I wonder, is that the Spartan 3 that takes out, oh god, you know the comic where he takes out the head of the bishop? What do they call the mad monk?
It's one of the comics, is it?
Yeah, it's Knight Takes Bishop is the name of the comic.
Oh, they take out the guy from the Kilo 5 trilogy.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if the likes of that is like a leftover headhunter. It's a Spartan 3 in armor sent in to do a very specific mission. Like, that seems like the sort of thing you would probably send a headhunter on now. You wouldn't really need them as a pair. You just need someone to go in and take out the target.
But pairs are so cool. That's how you build a co-op game, Aaron. Come on.
I can't see there being any Spartan 4 headhunter teams, although I could be wrong.
Definitely. That has to be, right?
ODST seem like the sort of people. ODST come Spartan seem like the kind of people that would volunteer to be headhunters in a heartbeat.
I don't know.
More stuff, please. Thank you.
More Spartan 3s. We do love our Spartan 3s. Do we have any other comments? Did anyone else watch the motion comic, or was it just me?
I watched it originally. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, if you've watched any of the other motion comics, it's pretty much the same. It's not fully animated. It's a lot of, like, kind of slightly moving panels. But it goes through a lot of the major beats of the story, and it's only 20 minutes, so it's worth watching if you're interested. It's animated beautifully. The fight scene at the end is super well done. There's a little bit of CGI in there and stuff like that. It looks fantastic. It's very fun. If you're interested in that, take a look. It's really fun. It's free on YouTube. I mean, hey, you got 20 minutes out of your day to sit and watch something cool and Halo related? Go do it.
If you watch that one, then you can watch the others, because there's the Mona Lisa and... What is the other one? There's like 3 of them, isn't there?
Yeah. Was Stomping on the Heels of a Fuss one?
I can't remember.
Don't think so, because that one's kind of gory and violent.
They're like, they're official. So was this one. They're official stuff, aren't they? Yeah.
They were on Halo Waypoint.
They were on Waypoint originally, and then they got moved and just like released to everyone. You guys talk, and I'll see if I can find something.
What's the voice acting like, Krista? I can't really remember.
Oh, the voice acting is pretty good. You know, I didn't notice anything that sounded strange or fake or anything like that, so it was very good.
Midnight in the Heart of the Midlothian. I knew there was.
That one's good. Do they have one of the Master Chief ones animated as well? They might. You'd think they would. I wish they would have animated Human Weakness. That would have been great.
That would have been awesome.
I'll take the hour-long Mona Lisa. Holy shit.
We have Headhunters, Midnight in the Heart of Midlothian, the Mona Lisa, and The Return.
Mona Lisa's an hour long?
It's an hour long. That's like 100 pages long. It's like a third of the book. I think that's our next book club as well for October. So, the Mona Lisa is one of my favorites. It's very Dead Space. It's just the Halo Dead Space you've always wanted.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. I love Henry. Henry's my favorite.
The Return, I think, is the one I forgot about.
I didn't know that was there. What's The Return?
Isn't that the one where the Spartan breaks out of their house, or breaks out of training and goes back home and sees the clone? Is that not part of the...
Oh, I think that is, yeah.
That was Daisy, I think.
I remember being traumatized by that. It was great.
Most of Halo should traumatize us.
It's been just a constant, stream of, sadness and traumatizing events.
Tell a lie. The Return is not that one. The Return is the Sangheili.
Oh shit, we can't forget about that one. Holy shit, that's good. Alright, so we're gonna go watch more of these motion comics. So, any final closing statements, guys?
Cool book. I liked it. I'd love another short story collection. I think we're due one.
I mean, we have Fractures, but yeah, maybe after Halo Infinite they'll focus on that. So we need to go watch more motion comics and get started on Mona Lisa for spooky season, so thank you all for joining us. You can find every episode of all of our shows on our website, halopodcast.com. Remember, the RSS feed does not include every one of our episodes. If you want the old, crusty shit, you have to go to the website. It also features links to our Discord server, Facebook group, Patreon page, Xbox Live Club, and other contact information like our gamer tags and fun stuff like that. Also Twitter accounts if you guys want to stalk us on Twitter. If you want to leave a voicemail about this episode or a previous episode or about anything Halo related, give us a call at 205-EVOLVED. That is 205-386-5833. Remember to leave your name so we can properly thank you and make sure that you realize most of these voicemails are going to be played live on our news episodes. So make sure you are including information that you are comfortable with being released to the public. If not, you can still send us a voicemail, just be very specific that you do not want us to play it out loud. Either way, we would love to hear from you. And with that, I have been your host, Krista. And until next time, evolve.
Evolved.